Hey, Cat. I see. Uh, we had to reset the game. We was having a few issues. For some reason it dropped the live, and I had to restart it. Well, I ain't had to do nothing, but I chose to restart it. But anyway, family, glad to be back with you. I hope you've been having a fantastic week so far. What's today? Tuesday. So I hope you had a great Monday. I hope you had a good Tuesday. It was a little rainy around here the last couple of days, but we needed it. It's been. I remember they always taught us April showers bring May flowers, and then the joke I read in 101 dad jokes was April showers bring May flowers, and what do May flowers bring? Pilgrims. But I don't think we got that much rain in April, so I appreciate you coming back, Liberty. I don't think we got that much rain in April, so we needed this rain to wash us anew and start us over good, have us have a good May. We are on our root chakra today, so that's why it's a little red. I know sometime on the camera it translate to. Yeah, I know. We mixing it up. Like I said, I don't think I want it to always look so like so Sal Goodman. So I still, keep my bow ties and ties and all that good stuff. But for right now we doing polos and tattoos. Cause the camera always show my tattoos pretty good. Cause in real life I'm extra chocolate, so it just looks like chocolate skin. So anyway, we're on our root chakra. The color for that root chakra is red. So we are trying to do red. Doesn't translate so well. Sometimes it look a little oranges, but it's better than the orange. Orange or the yellow. Yellow doesn't translate at all. But we are on our root chakra. The element for that is earth. We are going to do our sound, earth visualization, and our breathing. I think I want to do 4, 7, 8 tonight. So we normally do right extra chocolate. Oh God. So we're going to do earth uh visualization. I think something happened. I talked to the book club about it on Thursday, but I had something happen to me last week that I want to share with y'all. I think it just kind of brings in us working on a new affirmation word. We hadn't done that in a minute. Um, then I know. Hey, dude, I know Liberty had a question for me too, so we're gonna talk about that. No, in no specific order, and then I do wanna. I'm not gonna wrap it up, but I think I want to do something differently next week. Something we haven't done in a while. I mean, well, not something we haven't done in a while, but something a little different. But we do want to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence and wrap that up. Why is it important? Um, we can always come back to it, but I don't know. I've had a couple questions about forgiveness and trying to figure out tools about that. And if I'm going to talk about forgiveness and tools about forgiveness, I think that's a perfect time to start thinking about, excuse me, our apology language. Since we always talk about love languages, we want to know how we apologize and how we accept apologies. But we are going to get back to this week. So glad to be here. I brought out I don't even know what it's called, but for our sound, we're gonna do the bowl and this clicker. I just have it on my desk to keep me crunk. But let's see. Let's get started. So I've been having this for a minute. I just haven't used it with you all at all. So we gonna use it tonight. Cat, I don't know if you still there, man, but I was still thinking about you. And I wasn't even expecting to catch your show. I just happened to open my phone and TikTok was like, nah, you about to look at Cat. So it went straight to Cat. And it was funny. But you wound up having that conversation about somebody talking about how inappropriate you dress, but you don't dress inappropriate at all. If you did, I care enough for you to tell you. At least pull you to the side and be like, yo, you doing a little too much, but you don't be doing too much. You being your authentic self and finding your authentic path. So I love it. Later for the haters, they come. It was crazy though. It was hilarious. I don't even know. Yeah. So that was hilarious. I was sitting there smiling and laughing and thinking about that, which is wild. But we're gonna do our breathing exercise and our visualization, and then we're gonna move on, get this party started. So our visual breathing exercise is 4-7-8. We're gonna do that 3 times. You breathe in for a 4 count, you hold for an 8 count, and then you breathe out for a excuse me. Breathe in for a 4 count, hold for a 7, out for 8. In 4, hold 7, out 8. All you gotta do is just relax, and I will keep track of it for you. Um, it's fantastic. So on my count of three, 1, 2, 3. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time, family. In 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Man, I look like my lips look extra shiny, like I just got fresh up off some chicken. And the funny thing is, I hadn't been eating no chicken. I hadn't even really been eating chicken like that. I've been telling everybody I'm 80% vegetarian. So I hadn't been eating, and I'm amazed. Really, side note for visualization, but I'm amazed at how much. Hey, I know that's right for sure. I'm amazed at how much a simple diet change has done for my blood pressure and just my lifestyle, my energy, and everything. Even when I went to the doctor, I had to go to the doctor. I told y'all about that when I had that after that colon check. I had that shingles flare up, which is crazy. Um, Even he was like, "Man, what have you been doing, man? It's just diet." And I've been wilding out. I hadn't been exercising the way I need to, so I've been slack. I've been trying to really see what it is, but oh man, I should not have y'all both on here together. Y'all gonna be co-signing each other. That's great. I love it. So I ain't even gonna hate. But visualization. I actually need to do some work with my plants. So after that breathing time, either if you are a gardener, imagine yourself sitting in your garden, or if you not much of a gardener, but imagine yourself sitting in some grass, go outside and touch some grass. In your mental mind, visualize this. Picture yourself doing these things. For me, I need to replant a couple of my plant babies, so I am imagining I am digging into the soils. As you dig into the soil of the plants, that you have the soil run between your fingers. As you lay on the grass, I want you to feel yourself exchanging energy with this earth, with this grass, with this soil, with this dirt. with this. Whatever you have, imagine yourself doing that allows you to connect with the earth. Even if you pictured yourself climbing a tree, one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid. But as you are there, you want to visualize and intentionally feel yourself giving the earth energy. Feel yourself giving the earth a little love. Feel yourself giving the earth a little confidence. Feel yourself giving the earth the best of you. And as you share with the earth, you feel the earth feeding back to you. It's giving you the best. It's giving you clarity. It's giving you love. It's giving you hope. It's giving you stability. It's giving you vision. And you feel this symbiotic exchange of energy just down to the core of who you are, to the essence. You feel it through all four of your bodies, your physical, your mental, your emotional, and spiritual body. And as you are exchanging, I want you to take from this earth, this visualization, as much energy as you need to clear out the stress and the worries that you were carrying up until this point, up until this day. And as you are exchanging energies with the earth, I want you to repeat these root affirmations with me. I am safe and secure. I am grounded and centered. I am self sufficient. I am financially secure. I love being in my body. I am safe and secure. I am grounded and centered. I am self sufficient. I am financially secure. And I love being in my body. Gotta love the skin you're in. You only get one. Boop, 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 boop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thanks, Cat. We giving out hearts now? Whoop, roses? Cat, man. What, you gonna make me have to do a break dance for you? Let me stop. All right, we're gonna get this party started. So we're gonna go to the side camera. This where we get a little loose. So it's funny, I think life has given us an opportunity to you see. Hey, and I got on a nice outfit today too. I think I'm matching up. My pants match my horse. And surprisingly I do have pants on. I always got pants on for the show. Too much. But yeah, the red don't translate good. It's actually a watermelon pinkish ash color, but it ain't working with the red so good. But I think life, we've been talking about paying attention to the signs and the things that came up, and I think life has been showing me it's time for us to revisit our affirmation word wall. As a matter of fact, let me get it. We have soul family is who we are, but we have worthy, love, and safety. Those are three of our affirmational words, are intentional, right? Watermelon pink is crazy. And it's funny because the reason I know it's watermelon is because whenever I say something like, yeah, I got on this pink shirt, somebody always has to tell me that's not pink. It's something else. So I know watermelon. I know I got salmon. So I know salmon. I got a salmon sport coat. I got neon pink or electric pink. I got the Soul Train board. You a hater. We haven't done anything with the Soul Train board, and I think this just perfect time. Cause you were, as a matter of fact, you was here Thursday when we talked about it on the on book club. So we talked about our it's funny. So When we first started this, or when I first started doing Reiki individually, I still haven't charged anybody. So generally, when people work with me, I said it before, I didn't want, so many people can't get the help or get the services that they need because they can't afford it. And I didn't want something like not being able to afford it to stand in the way of people. So I haven't been charging. Um, I guess at some point I will charge. We already talked about that, but I haven't been charging. And when I first started doing this, it was like, which was crazy. Because, of course, you generally start off with family and friends because those are the people that feel most comfortable and connected with you. So I would just generally always say, yeah, you don't have to pay. I'm not charging you, but refer me somebody so I could charge them. So I was going to charge other people. But my referral program has not been working the way I imagined it, which is funny because, we had that conversation a couple of weeks ago about that idea of accept and allow and allowing for life to tell you those signs and you to be able to adjust for it and all that good stuff. So my referral program has not been working the way I wanted it to. And partly I understand 100% why it is kind of like that. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't really trip, right? So what I recognize is generally the initial people that I deal with are women, right? And one thing I know about women, I've had women as friends. I've just had women in my life in various different ways for all my life, like most of us. But mine a little more intense between career and all that. And one thing that I kind of know about women as it relates to me, like once we make that connection, they can get very protective over me. I remember, man, the women in my family used to be the worst. I remember it was a girl I went to elementary school with, and my aunt, she used to ask my aunt for my number, and I say elementary school in New York. That's how long ago it was. She used to ask my aunt for my number, and my aunt was like, "I ain't never giving you my number. I'm giving her your number. You don't have no business talking to no woman with 4 kids or however many she had at that point." But people get protective, even if you work with me. Like it's hard to get my number from people. People will be like, "Let me check with them first." People get protective, so I know that when I'm creating this safe space, you know what I mean, for people to be whatever they need to be at that moment, they begin to get very protective of that space, which I take as an honor. So even though they do try to refer, people get very selective about who they refer. They don't want me dealing with too many different energies. They have their own well intentions on how and when they choose to refer somebody. But needless to say, I hadn't done much referral, right? So when it comes to it, I decided to start moving from this space of refer me to, you know what I mean? Give me whatever the spirit moves you to give me, right? And so far, that has worked a little bit better until up to last week because, as a matter of fact, the first person that actually paid me for my services was somebody who randomly found me on TikTok. They just did a search. They were looking for something and they ain't quite know what. And they joined us and we talked about that. But then last week I wound up doing an energy reading. And the energy readings for the most part are virtual. So, and if we do the coaching and all of that stuff too, an energy reading can easily take hour, 2 hours. Well, no, it's definitely gonna take an hour if we do the coaching. But it can take 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how much we talk or how vulnerable or how open the person is to discussing the things that are revealed, right? It can be. Listen, cat, don't be talking trash because they definitely can be hours. You see, you. Cat, you haven't. I was getting ready to say, Kat, you've had all of the services, but I don't remember doing a spiritual journey with you. Oh yeah, Never Scratch. Never mind. I do remember because your grandma showed up here the night before. So make sure it was safe. So forgive me. Never mind. I forgot. But yeah, so yes, it's definitely been 15 hours for you because you've done Reiki, you've had an energy reading, and you even done your own spiritual journey. So it can be very time consuming and it can be energetic. It takes a lot of energy, and I gotta have I just have the emotional availability and make sure I am using the tools around me. So calling on your ancestors, calling on support, or whatever, to be able to do it. So now I say, well, whatever the spirit moves you to do. So I did an energy reading with someone, and after I did the energy reading, I thought it was a good energy reading, but I really wasn't even trying to charge them. So after the energy reading, they was like, send me your Cash App or your Zelle or something so I can send you some money, right? So I can pay you. And I was like, cool, and just got off the car because I wasn't gonna send it to them. But as you know, we all are learning and growing. So even I am learning to be responsive to what my spirit is saying, which is funny. Um, so I wind up sending her my Cash App information or whatever, and she sent me a bunch of money. To me, it felt like a bunch. To her, is what her spirit told her the value. And if I were to charge hourly or something like that, it would be fair for what a 2.5, 2 hour session would be. If you let's say if you went and got a massage for an hour and a half, 2 hours, how much you pay for that? So somewhere around that range, right? And it was funny because in that reading, one of our conversations came to be around ego, right? No, this idea of peace, as a matter of fact. So, and one thing that they said is, you hear a lot of people talking about trying to protect their peace. And I think it kind of came out that there's a real clear misunderstanding of what peace is. Peace does not mean the absence of, okay, Liberty, I appreciate you. It does not mean the absence of conflict. As a matter of fact, I use this as an example. We are living in America right now, and we are not at war, direct war, where our troops are off. Like, they still all over the place. So technically, we are living in peaceful times. But within this peace, we recognize there's not the absence of conflict, right? So one of the things I think is important for us to understand is that peace does not mean the absence of conflict. Conflict is a natural part of life. You're not always going to agree. If it's two separate things, it's going to be conflict. Man, woman, cat, dog, doesn't matter. It's going to be conflict, right? But peace is also having the tools to navigate these conflicts in a healthy way. That is peace. Instead of carrying these conflicts on, not as what we talked about, the people who no longer are taking active participation in their life. They've chosen solitude as a form of protecting their peace, but all they done was just gave up. But peace is actually having the tools to be able to navigate conflict in a healthy way, where it doesn't become a burden or troublesome for you, something, all that wild stuff that happens, right? And then our other conversation, which is Liberty would walk away when I'm talking right now. So when she come back, I'm gonna get mad at her. But another conversation we had, which ties into the affirmation thing, the story I told you about somebody giving me more than I would have expected, was this idea of ego. And it actually comes up in a lot of people's energy readings, but came up with this big ego, right? And normally when we think of egotistical or people with big ego, we always low key kind of think of pompous. They kind of an a-hole, right? So we put this idea ego in a box, right? And in that conversation, I tried to explain how ego is essentially conflict between your four bodies. Remember, we're thinking about ourselves as four bodies: a mental body, a physical body, an emotional body, and our spiritual body. Ego generally is that area between that conflict between your physical and your spiritual wants, right? So for example, when I got that payment, immediately I snapped into this idea of, oh no, that's too much, right? Immediately I'm thinking about how that's too much. But on the inside, my spirit was feeling so emotional. It, as a matter of fact, it made my heart feel good. It made me feel like, dang, somebody see the value in me. And that's how much they value. Not to say that no one else sees the value. It's to say that I appreciate these moments when people show me that they value what I've done for them, right? So it made me feel good. It made me want to cry. I didn't cry, surprisingly. I had some other stuff going on, but I didn't cry. And right there, with me feeling initially like this is too much money, my physical, because your physical, the ego protects your spirit from trauma. And it doesn't always see what your spirit needs. But my spirit, so my physical saying, no, that's too much. And my spirit, like, thank you. That right there is ego. That's the perfect conflict of where you or your life or your past or something is not allowing you to receive, even though you know that receiving is the best thing for you. It is the affirmation for you. It is the reminder that you are doing a great thing. So I took that as a reminder that I'm doing a great thing. Um, it showed up as an opportunity for me to exercise those tools that we all developing together for when our ego shows up and keeps us from what is good for our spirit, our emotions, or our mental, something that makes us feel good. Um, and that's how we wind up being back onto the word board because that thing created emotion. So if you remember how we did our affirmation word board, we thought of one of our best moments in life, whether it happened to you as a kid, whether it happened to you as an adult, whether it happened to you today, last week, a couple of years ago, it doesn't matter. But just think of one of those moments that you had in your life that you felt amazing. You felt so validated. You felt so valued. You felt so important. One of the best days. Just think of that. Just think of all the emotions that you feel. And as you are feeling those emotions, we take time and we write down the words that describe what we are feeling, right? So we use valued, we use important. I know for me, it felt emotional. Um, it did have a little bit of confusion, actual words. So confusion in the sense like, am I really deserving of this? And I appreciate you, Kat. Um, you've been part of the Soul family since the beginning. So I appreciate that when you say I deserve it. I thank you, and I still talk about you a little bit. Well, at least maybe your friend. or the name y'all call me, ukulele. So I was telling somebody about the ukulele and talk to ukulele. Right. So in that moment, I felt valued. I felt important. I felt emotional. I felt affirmed. I felt right, like I was doing the right thing. Let's see what else. Is there anything else that I can think of that would kind of describe the the feelings I felt? Are there any words that you can think of that maybe we should also include in our affirmational words? Something that made you feel you back just in time for ukulele. So think of some good words. Think of your best moment, Liberty, and think of a word that describes one emotion that you were feeling in one of your most favorite events or happenings, something that happened to you that felt so great. Nothing better. We're doing our affirmation. We have valued, important, emotional, affirmed, right, mm, and even a little bit of confusion in that. Liberated is good. That's a good word. We can ride liberated. And I can agree with that liberated in the sense that I definitely felt free from, when you're trying to do something, you don't know if it's working, you hoping it's working, you just keep on. And we already talked about we building that new relationship with that idea and that word hope because we had a very fickle relationship with that idea hope. What we keep it real, we thought hope was for suckers and free. So we have affirmed, right, confused, valued, important, emotional, liberated, and free. And then once we have our list of words, we just kind of pick the word that resonates with us. Um, resonates with our spirit. This is an exercise for us to begin to trust ourselves again. Trust that first instinct, the one that we always second guess, right? So, initially it was right, but I feel like right and free. We normally don't have two words, but we can have two words. For me, I think right and free kind of really conveys what I felt in that moment, in that affirmation, in that giving and receiving situation that I just told you about. It was a great, 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 great experience to me. So we are going to add to our list of words free and liberated. I'm probably gonna have to order some new letters because we running out. So now we have worthy, loved, safety, right, and free. I love that. That was fantastic. And we, like I said, not like I said too, but like Liberty said, we hadn't done that in a minute. So, now perfect time. So I had a conversation, and I think this is great. So I always talk about. Oh man, we burning through this. I always talk about men's group, whether it's on Thursdays or Tuesdays. I always bring up men's group, because men's group has been a real pivotal tool in my healing process. You know what I mean? It creates a space for masculine energy to gather, and we use those seven spaces of healing. So we definitely in space of accountability, space of vulnerability, space of forgiveness. We make mistakes, we hold each other accountable, and we push for forgiveness and grace and things like that. So I always talk about how important that is to me, and it has been on my journey of healing, and even on our collective journey of healing. It has been fantastic. The brothers support me, and we support each other. We're having a conversation with Liberty, because I'm gonna call you out now. She mentioned that she wished that she was connected to something like that, right? And one, I guess I'll say, if you know of something that is similar to that, that I could point some of my soul, female soul family members to, then put it in chat. I'd love to know. You know what I mean? I'll check it out. I'll do my research and see if it's a safe space. But the idea came to creating one, right? Now, the only conflict I have of that is me being a masculine man assisting in developing a woman's chat, right? And I'm not opposed to that in the sense that I think it'll be beneficial, and I think I'd have a clear understanding of what my role is to be, right? So I can envision myself being more of a silent partner. I know at the beginning I probably have to help with some prompts or some conversation, or just the energy to help creating that safe space. But I really do want it to be a space for women to be able to communicate, right? And I'm putting the pressure and accountability on Liberty too, because I expect her to help with this process. Because it's really her vision, her dream. And she brought it to the soul family. She brought it to me, so I'm bringing it to the soul family. So we are going to start us a woman's group. We're going to figure out a consistent day and a consistent time. Because I know our men's group is every Monday, 8:30 p.m. So we really got to think of a time that will be conducive for women to be able to join. It might be 8:30, it might be 9. I don't know if 7 is the best time, because that really 7 is, you got to make time for 7. You know what I mean? So I appreciate, that's why I value and appreciate whenever you all can join, because 7 is still prime family time. Depending on what you do with your kids, you're not getting home till after 7 or 8, depending on how old your kids are. But we have to figure out a good time. I hope you are as committed. You heard? So then, what's a good time for you? What is the time that when things settle down in your home where you can? So this is the thing about it. We don't have a scheduled time. Well, no, we start at 8:30. And we generally wrap up around 10:30, depending on how the flow goes. Or we go a little bit later. So you don't have to have a set time. A set start time is good. And then you can let the conversation be able to guide how you go and where you go and how long you meet. 9. It makes sense, because even with the men's group, girl, I say we start at 8:30, but we be on CP time. I'll be showing up 8:45, 9 o'clock. So you might need to say 8:30 so you can have people there by 9 o'clock. Because if you say 9 o'clock, you knew they're gonna show up at 9:30, and then it start getting late, because you got a window where people can really invest before they start preparing for the new day. You know what I mean? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Not even little people, girl. That's how I know the child in me is present because I'll be sitting around fighting my sleep. Boop, 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 boop. And it's wild how I do it. So I get it. So 8:30 is a good time. We actually use Zoom. You know what I mean? And dead serious, I would be willing because I don't pay for Zoom right now. I get benefits through my job, but I definitely would be willing to pay for Zoom so we can have a consistent link that you could manage. Now, for the most part, um, you're gonna have to promote that the same way you promote the Soul Family and having people to join. I think you may have a better chance for women, and I'm thinking about a friend of mine, Makiba. She probably would love it as well because she is one of those women. You you remember I said one of the things I hated about supervising women is that women didn't have that am I my sister's keeper type of energy, right? And that doesn't mean that some women don't have it. I just mean universally, like when women talk about men, everybody knows men do have that am I my brother's keeper. I'm like, he gonna look out for him no matter what. Hey, you do. You see a man, men do have that. As crazy as it is, as much as we can be not like brethren, we do have that. So I think it'd be a good space for y'all to be able to start creating that type of energy. And now, outside of a good time, because 8:39 is fantastic. What would be a good day? What's a good day for you to be able to consistently do it? And honestly, it could be a Friday. Because as crazy as it is, we're a little older. And if we worked all week, normally on Fridays we relaxing. And occasionally we hit the streets, right? Well, Saturday is for satin play. That's when we get out there and play. So I wouldn't even be afraid to use Friday, whichever day speak to your spirit. What speaks to your spirit? Then it would have to be a Friday at 8:30. What type of energy would you like to create for that group? What are your intentions? What would you yeah, what type of energy would you like to create with that group? Which it matters because it's based pretty much about your intentions. Fridays. And you might have to start talking in your videos now because I know you post every day, which would be fantastic. But you might want to post or at least put in your caption if you're having a group. Now we do have a Facebook group, so you can create a Facebook group, and the Facebook group kind of is like a vessel. But where the action really goes on is we have a Facebook group, and then we have a group chat. So most of the action happens in the chat, and then once a week we take it off the chat and we have our men's group call. So, doo-doo-doo. All right, well, Jones, what's your spirit? Which one of your spirit? What do your spirit say? Because it really doesn't matter. You know your people gonna find you, girl. If I don't tell you nothing else. If you don't add accountability to that space, because for real, and this is from the outside looking in, that's one of the most important things that we have for the men's group is that space of accountability, right? Because we create that space where we challenge some of our beliefs. And you don't want to have a space where it kinds up becoming an echo chamber where you all are kind of just feeding into, like, in the effort and intentions to support each other, that you wind up not holding everybody accountable for the growth. So vulnerability is fantastic. The space for healing is fantastic. Growth is fantastic. And you definitely, definitely, definitely need that space of accountability, because women have to create that space where you can hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? Everything we do and say as um, a culture, a race of people, a gender, or whatever is not okay. It is. We don't need a bunch of yeses. You don't, and you don't want to get caught into that space of, like I said, support groups or things like that can easily venture into that space of, well, they become a crutch, where instead of supporting people, you just kind of really just kind of stroking the pain, and just, you don't know how to move on. You don't know forgiveness. I'll never forget, my best example of that is, it was a time where I was trying to join this church, right? Enabling is a fantastic word. When I was going to these churches, I was visiting various churches. I went to this one church, right? For me, if I was going to pick a pastor, it was going to be somebody who went through some struggles similar to mine, and they could show me how they got through, right? So I go to this church, and this church, man, these people were going through struggles, and I couldn't get out that church fast enough, because it wasn't that they were just going through struggles. It's like they were stuck, and everybody was like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's the downside of thinking your paradise only is for you after you die, because you'll get stuck. You can find yourself stuck in your own ruts, enabling. So you definitely don't want a space of enabling. Oh man, we almost used up our hour. So we talked a little bit about that. I think that's fantastic. I think I will wrap up. Well, not wrap up. I do want to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence. Friday, go with your spirit. If Friday works best, I thought Tuesday and Thursdays work, because there generally ain't basketball or football games. It doesn't really conflict with sports, like, I mean, everybody basketball, and it may be baseball, but they got 100 games a season, so ain't nobody tripping. And basketball have double headers, but I literally did think of it based on what would be easiest for the people to get to. So, a little bit more about our emotional intelligence. Last week, I think we discussed, not that I think, but I know we did discuss, what does emotional intelligence look like? And we learned that it looks like active listening, it is empathy. Emotional intelligence is self regulation, it is conflict resolution. Again, which is important, because peace is not the absence of conflict, right? It's open communication and a positive attitude. Half glass half full, half glass full. Glass half full, little red sunshine type personality. And adaptability. Being open enough, allowing and accepting, being aware of the signs enough that you can adjust. Yeah, conflict resolution is not a lot of people's strong suit. That's why they easily tie peace to the absence of conflict, right? But peace has nothing to do with the absence of conflict at all. And I ain't even gonna lie, conflict resolution can be a difficult one for me, because I either don't do enough, or do too much. And I recognize that if I don't feel as confident in my conflict resolution skills, then if you don't feel as confident in your conflict resolution skills, you know what that winds up creating? Avoidant behavior. So now you're trying to avoid conflict, which is why people think peace is the absence of conflict, because they've tied their peace to their avoidant behaviors. They're trying to avoid interacting with life, people, society, and call that peace. But we love to use examples all the time. And Jesus is supposed to be the king of peace. And he was down in these streets all the time, except for when he do his 30 days on the mountains or his 30 days, 40 nights. Half the time he stayed on the mountain. But he was down there. All he knew it was not the absence. Peace was not the absence of conflict, right? And knowing that you definitely got to work on your conflict resolution skills. I think recognizing that your conflict resolution skills is an area of growth is emotional intelligence. Perfect example of emotional intelligence, because that's that thing, that's that awareness where you do that self-assessment that we talk about all the time. You got to reevaluate yourself and see what's cracking. So I do want to discuss this so I can move on, because next week we're going to do something different. So how does emotional intelligence help your everyday life? What is the benefit of sharpening this tool that we are working on, our emotional intelligence? Ultimately, one main benefit is better communication. You will be able to better express yourself, to allow and create that space for understanding. Not only will you be able to better express yourself, which creates the space for understanding, is you will be able to receive and understand people better, right? You're like, and when I say communication, I don't just mean verbal communication. We put too much power in verbal communication, but we will start to see those body language cues, those energetic cues, those emotional cues. You will play a good part, a good role in creating that space for understanding, because you've developed your emotional intelligence, which only enhances your communication skills. And good communication helps you create a space for understanding, not just for you to give, for you to also receive. Because remember, this energetic thing that we're talking about is an exchange. It's a symbiotic relationship. It is like the tick on the cow's butt. Healthy relationships. And when we say healthy relationship, it does. Working on your emotional intelligence does give you healthier relationships. But when we say relationships, we mean all types of relationships. Our relationship with self, because now you'll be able to communicate your feelings better, that you can feel better. Your relationship with others, whether they're platonic or romantic. Now you can be able to understand people's movements and behaviors better, and you'll be able to explain yours better. It improves your relationship with the earth around you, because emotional intelligence is not just your interactions with human beings, but now you can start to understand the needs of plants better. I'm a plant daddy. So emotional intelligence was funny. I was just talking to Boz, and he got him a peace lily from his mother's funeral. And what I was telling them is, oh, peace lilies are great plants to have. And one of the reasons I say a peace lily is a great plant to have, because they speak so very well. They will tell you exactly what they need. And that is emotional intelligence, being able to look at the plant, a plant that does not speak a language, and tell what it needs, because now it's drooping, or now the leaves are curling, or maybe they all leaning to one side. That's emotional intelligence. It's all relationships. Your relationship with the world around you and everything in it. It gives you better conflict resolution, which we talked about, because now you can navigate your emotions better because you got the tools to be able to navigate your emotions, and you can figure out ways to express these emotions in a healthy way, right? Um, and with this, you conflict resolution, you start looking for ways that are mutually beneficial, to all the people, all the things that are in that conflict. So even though I use plants as an example, I'm a plant, a plant daddy. Fantastic. So as a matter of fact, we was talking about all this rain, and Liberty reached out to me to remind me of something. Like, hey, are you collecting any rain for your plant babies? Man, maybe that's what some of my babies have, because we've been in conflict where the leaves aren't growing the way they need to, and I'm trying to figure it out. Even in this peaceful environment, I'm having conflict with a couple of my plants because they keep growing new leaves and they get crunchy, right? And Faith reminded me, Liberty reminded me of rainwater. I give my plants only the finest of distilled water, but they do love rainwater too. Conflict resolution is mutually beneficial. Stronger relationships, not just better, not just healthier, right? Healthier in the interactions. But I gave you all the names. That's what you got. But stronger relationships. Emotional intelligence is like the bridge for connection. It makes it easier to go across, walk across. And emotional intelligence affects all four of those bodies. It's beyond your physical connection. It is stronger mental connections. Because now you got that empathy, you connect on experience or sympathy. You can relate to a person. It's stronger emotional because now you feel more confident in communicating these and knowing that the people that you picked and the environments that you place yourself in will be conducive to you expressing your emotions. And it's better for your physical body too. Because a lot of our ailments come because we are out of alignment with our emotional and our physical. So stronger relationships, increased empathy. So I use that example of that story where we talked about, man, listen, there's a time where if somebody do something nice for me, there ain't no way I'm getting, there's no way I'd even consider crying. But I just told you somebody did something what I consider nice. And the first thing my spirit wanted to do, not my physical, my spirit wanted to do was cry. That's increased empathy. That softer side, or whatever you want to say it, those gentler emotions, those other emotions that help us be whole. Increased empathy. Better teamwork. The amount of times I've had to use my emotional intelligence, my emotional awareness to be able to work with others, to be able to see who's tired, to be able to see who's going to do extra, to be able to see who ain't going to carry their load. One of the reasons we don't like working in groups is because we haven't found the tools to be able to navigate that teamwork. And that tool to make teamwork easier for us is emotional intelligence. It's giving people grace, giving yourself grace, accepting people for who they are and understanding their strengths and weaknesses and what they're good at and what they are going to do and what they're not going to do. So increase teamwork. Right? And I wrote this down for myself, even when functioning individually in a larger scale. So a lot of times we like to say, if I see a person on the news that stole, a black person on the news that stole something, it's easy for me to be able to be like, he doesn't represent me. Because individually, he doesn't. But in a larger team, he does. So this improved teamwork, even when you are working individually for the larger team, right? Whether you, and one of the reasons I'm like, I make the Howell name look good, because when I go out there, I don't be embarrassing my family. So even though I'm acting individually, the greater team is my Howell family. And I still have a responsibility to the team. Enhance leadership. You want to be a good leader, you must have emotional intelligence. You need to be aware of what it takes to bring the best out of people. You need to be aware of things you do that brings the worst out of people. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend today, and they were talking to me about picking up this consulting assignment, and they were talking to me about, you know, how much they charge and their concerns and all this other stuff, and thinking about the woman and so forth. And the person that was trying to elicit the services said when they talked to my friend that she started almost crying, right? And two things I told my friend. One, I'm glad you didn't work in leadership as much as you did, because I get to listen to her and hear her have these moral dilemmas. And I admire those moral dilemmas that she had, because to be successful, as we talked about sometimes, that morality goes out the window. Right? So, one of the things I'd wind up telling her is I learned from years of leading people, to get the best out of people, you have to address the emotions of them first. And just like kids in the classroom, if the kid is crying, you're not going to get that kid to learn. If the adult is stressed, if the adult is worried, or the example that we use, if I'm leading people in the workplace, if they have a long history of workplace trauma, I can never get the best of them. So enhanced leadership is directly connected to emotional intelligence. You have to be able to have the tools to address the emotions of people so that you can bring the best out of them, right? And the last thing emotional intelligence does is it has a positive and lasting influence. And I think this show is a perfect example of that, um, because I think I've given people something to remember, right? And the way that it shows up is that positive and long lasting effect is you've given people something to remember you by that is good. And one way that it winds up showing up all the time on this show is the amount of people that have assisted the growth of the Soul family. And I literally was their work supervisor before, right? So one of the reasons they can do that is because the emotional intelligence that I used to lead them before, they got a level of respect and value for me. So when the opportunity presents itself for them to be able to support the vision again, they do it. So I work hard to try to give people something to remember me by. And you know, I talked about it too. May the bridges I burn light my way. So some of the things you remember me by may be me burning that bridge, but ultimately your emotional intelligence will have a positive and long lasting effect because you give people a model example of something to remember you by. Right? So that's our wrap up. What is that? Oh, I skipped some pages. Oh no, okay. Uh, so we talked a little bit about the women's group, possibility of doing that. We worked on our new affirmational words, which is free and right. Circle that to join our other words of worthy, love, and safety. We are reminded that emotional intelligence looks in action. It looks like active listening. It looks like empathy, self regulation, conflict resolution, open communication, positive attitude and adaptability. And what does it benefit? How does it help you? It helps you with your communication. It helps you tremendously with your conflict resolution. Again, because peace is not the absence of conflict. Stronger relationships, increased empathy, enhanced leadership, improved teamwork, and lastly, something positive and lasting influence over. Yeah, so next week I do want to start. I said I wrote it down before it. So it was funny because I was having a funny, she ain't even on here tonight, but I was having a conversation about with Toddy. And we were trying to figure out, an area that a lot of us have to work on is forgiving ourselves, right? For the mistakes that we made, and that ego of our physical be like, nope, I ain't gonna do it no more. So does a great job of protecting ourselves. But when we say forgiveness, like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? So I asked myself the question, like, what would I give her? Like, what advice could I tell you if I had to break down what forgiveness was? What advice would I give you? And I had to look into that. So I'm thinking about that for next week. And because of that, I think in figuring out how we need to forgive, whether we are doing the forgiving or somebody needs forgiveness for us, I think an important connection to that is our apology language. So I'm thinking we're just going to do the apology language test live during the show. So we'll take some time and do that, and then we'll discuss the different types of apology, and we'll try to figure out some tools to break down what forgiveness is and how can I use that for myself, right? So I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Hope to see you Tuesday. No, today is Tuesday. Thursday for book club. We are continuing reading not before I let go. Makes me want to holler. These titles so close. Makes me want to holler by Nathan McCall. If I don't see you next Thursday, I hope you have a fantastic week. And I look forward to you joining us again next Tuesday with the Soul family as we talk about forgiveness. We're going to work on our apology language. How do we receive and give apologies? I wish you the best. And peace, family.